Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of HR Nightmares. Today is going to be pretty fun. I'm Leath, and I'm the founder of Leath HR Group, and we put on this show for you. Hope you enjoy it. If you do, tell all your friends, but make sure to hit like to the episode and also subscribe. We're on YouTube and anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. And like I said, I'm Lisa. We've got Amy Conway, the OG here, and then we have a special guest, a gentleman and a scholar. Wow. Greg, would you like to introduce yourself?
Gentleman is a stretch, but yes, I'm Greg Mosier. I've been with Leath HR Group for the past 4 years or so. Happy to be here. Honored that you'd put me in such a setting, Lisa.
I love this. He is making his host debut today.
Yeah.
And yeah, he looks good. Him and Amy kind of match.
Yeah, we're coordinated. It's a fun episode. This is a good one for you to get your feet wet in the podcasting world.
Yeah.
I'm bookended by two smarty pants. So, hey, we're HR consultants. We're not your HR consultants, but we would love to be. So make sure that you check out Leath HR Group on all the socials. And also we've got a great website where you can put in anonymous write-ins and get free HR advice, which, hey, by the way, that's what today's episode is all about. We're opening up the Leath HR Group inbox. And it's scary. So like the first episode of HR Nightmares we did years ago was called You Can't Believe This Crap.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we do every day, right?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think my favorite episode was the Nightmare Managers.
Oh, yeah.
Managers from Hell.
Managers from Hell.
Managers from Hell, that's it.
We can do another one of those. There's always more examples.
Exactly.
I had one this week.
Oh, lovely.
So we're going to open the inbox up. Fun part about this, we do get listened to around, I think we hit all 50 states, plus I think Puerto Rico. What else? Like, we used to be listened to globally. There was like a little Canada sprinkled in. I think that was when we had the comp guy from Toronto. But could be. Yeah. But we're recording in Wilmington, North Carolina. But we are kind of thinking globally as we respond. And it is nice when our audience write-ins, whether they're coming from an employee perspective or a colleague perspective, a manager, other HR folk, want to know like what we think and how we'd handle it. It is helpful maybe sometimes to say where you're writing in from. That way we can kind of put that lens on if there's like state regulations or other things we need to be considering. So, you ready to get started?
Sure.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let's do it.
I'm always in for a good question.
Cool beans. Okay, so let's start with, I like this one. We're going to call it the petty PTO police. So this is from an HR manager in Austin, Texas. They wrote in, hey, we've got a supervisor who keeps investigating whether employees are really sick when they call out. He calls them at home, asks for doctor's notes, even for one-day absences, and monitors their social media to catch them faking it. Employees are terrified to use PTO. How do I get this manager to back off without pissing him off or getting a target on my own back? So we've got...
This is an HR person?
An HR person who's like, oh my God, I have the pettiest manager who's like managing people out here. How do I get them to stop being petty? And like, honestly, if they're being petty about this, like they're probably being a terrible manager.
If they're micromanaging this, my guess is there's deeper rooted issues.
Yes,
like
this person
is
has
just
trust
a symptom.
issues.
This is not a disease, right? Yeah, I mean, I think as the HR person, you've got to be willing to have that manager be upset with you because you have to address this one, right? Yeah. And you have to, as the HR person, kind of try to get to the root of it. Like, why are we doing this? Like, what's happening on the team? Is the manager clearly either doesn't have any trust in the people, or there is a problem with excessive absences, or there's a staffing issue? Like, what's the real problem?
Yeah. That
because
makes sense. I wouldn't even think
people
about the staffing issue.
When they're calling out sick for one day, if it's someone that's not excessively doing that, that's ridiculous. Why waste your time?
Yeah, I guess when I hear something like that and I hear an HR person say, I'm worried about getting a target on my back, that's where the question marks kind of come from me, is does this HR person really understand their role?
Yeah, right.
Do they have the personality, the background, the ability to go back at a manager and say, hey, you're wrong here.
Yeah.
And you need to rethink your approach because your style may be having these other effects inside the company.
Yeah.
So, for the HR manager, I would say toughen up, get the policy right, make sure that there isn't a problem. Because if you haven't recognized that there is an abuse of the PTO policy, where people are just taking days off, not recording it, or whatever, then go back to the manager and say, have you ever thought about maybe approaching this a little bit differently?
Yeah.
Pull the data.
Exactly.
And then it's like, hey, by the way, everyone on your team takes mental health days. Here's a mirror.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the other thing, so I was thinking about the staffing thing. So this person may be a junior manager too, and they think that this is the way. Maybe they came from, right out of college or never managed people before, and they think that, I don't know, maybe they worked at McDonald's or something where people have to micromanage the talent.
Yeah.
But maybe they think this is the right way to manage, and that they should be following up on every PTO day. The other thing that's a little creepy about this is like stalking people on social media, I guess. So this could be like a manager 101 training scenario.
For sure.
Where, this person, and to your point, I mean, the sad part, and this is why Leath HR Group is around, the sad part is a lot of growing organizations or small startups that get a little bit bigger, they're family run, they tend to put like the cousin, the aunt, the sister, the young new grad in the HR role, and this person has no wherewithal, moxie, experience, or backbone to stand up to someone who looks to be in like a position of more power. So to your point, like your job is to be the source of unbridled truth.
Yeah. I think this is a good example of, yes, we do not have all the context we need to like properly answer this whole question. There's a lot of missing
Never
pieces,
do.
right? Like what's your industry? If you're a customer facing business and this is a cyclical issue of like this staffing, like I understand managers micromanaging call-ins a little bit more, right? I worked in that kind of business. I certainly get that. If there's any kind of excessiveness going on, not to this degree, that's ridiculous. Why waste your time stalking social media? What could you be doing more productive with your time?
Right?
That's
As
my
the
question for
manager.
the manager.
But
Exactly.
I guess as the HR, I think this is what we see a lot of times that when we go into organizations is they have an HR person that they have not given enough authority. They hire, they have a company of 50 employees and their only HR person is a coordinator level type role. And that person doesn't have the experience or the courage to stand up to someone who's like the director of operations,
No.
Right.
So
How
I don't know
could
if
they?
that's what's happening in this scenario, but based on the language this HR person used, I could see that maybe being the case of like, they do not have a position of authority in the hierarchy. And it's like, well, now's a great time to learn.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the things I said as a young HR leader to people that were in larger level positions because I had to give them the feedback. If the employees were complaining, I had to address it regardless of what my role was. But we see that happen a lot too, is like they want HR to hold people accountable to policies and stuff, but they don't really give them the authority to do so in an organization.
Oh, people are always coming to HR to solve the problem, have the uncomfortable conversation, or whatever. But to go back to that manager and say, how could you be using your time a little bit better?
Yeah.
And how could you talk with this employee maybe in a different way to understand what their situation is? If there is an abuse of PTO, absolutely address it.
Yeah.
Address it both with the manager as well as with the employee.
Yeah. And get off their social media. Like,
Yeah. Don't be friends with them.
I used to have that happen all the time.
Yeah.
Managers come to me, hey, they called in, but then I saw they were blah, blah, blah on social. I'm like, okay, well, you want to go ask them about that? Are they aware that you're like looking at their social? Again, it's like, go back to the bigger issue. I'm like, let's address the bigger issue at hand.
Yeah.
Do we trust this employee? Do we think they're ethically telling us the right thing? Are they sick when they say they are? Those are things we can address, but like, I'm not going to go back and like, well, then I saw on your Facebook page.
Well, and if you don't trust an employee, like just move on. Like there's no point in wasting your time. Like,
well, and if this is one employee and you're having this issue and this is somebody you want to get rid of, well, then let's get things documented.
Right.
And then let's deal with the problem rather than, okay, if you're being very inconsistent with the other employees where the same issue is happening with the other employees, but you're just kind of picking on this one, then you got to be consistent.
Yeah.
You can't, if you have a performance issue with this one person, deal with that one person.
Yeah. I also see sometimes this case of like, you have your expectation for everyone else. So it's like, say I'm that person that never once is called in a day in my life. And it's like, okay, well, that's great that you like put that on your resume, that you're someone who shows up to work, even if you have 105-degree fever. We don't want you to do that. We didn't ask you to do that. I'm glad that you think that's what hard work
We've
looks
been
like.
through COVID. We know how
then
things
they put
spread.
that same expectation on everyone else. It's like, that person called in sick once. They've called in sick maybe 2-3 days this whole year. That isn't that bad. But they're like,
true.
but they were just sick last month. Like, well, that was one day, 35 days
three
ago.
kids and they're all sick all the time.
I think it's okay. Last month they had the flu and now they've got something else. Like, that's normal. People get sick more than once a year.
Okay,
So,
let's play devil's advocate and like actually not trust the write-in, but trust the manager. And let's just say he's got like a shit show on his hands and like everyone's calling out all the time. Like everyone's calling out on Mondays during football season because everybody's going out to party together at Buffalo Wild Wings and then I can't show up at 8 a.m. and I'm sick. I need a mental health day. And this manager's like, guys, I've got like things to make in this plant or I have customers to serve in this store. Like, what if he actually has a big problem? Like, what do you, let's trust the manager for a second. What feedback
I think
do we have
it's
for this
exactly
person?
what Greg said. You got to go back to like, okay, if we have a problem, then we have to document it, coach it, move forward, right? And so if you have that big of a problem, then you do not have good processes in place for how you coach things either to a place where they're no longer a problem or you move on from that employee and you hire people who will show up for work. I also think, I come from that hourly business, lots of call-ins, lots of employees hungover all the time. Back in my 20s, I probably was at the same bar and saw them there, so like, hey, and it happened all the time. But the expectation was like, hey, I saw you last night out until midnight. You get to work at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, if I saw my employees out, I'd be like, okay, I'll see you in the morning. You are scheduled at 8 a.m. So I expect you to be there. So again, if you're having that big of a time and attendance issue, you probably didn't do a very good job setting the expectations and putting accountability in place on day one.
Yes.
Yeah, I would hope that if I were that HR manager, I would have seen the patterns in the various employees prior to that, that one instance or whatever. Stalking on social media, that's, everybody does it. It's not great. But anytime I see that, I talk to the employees and say, hey, listen, it's not just about you and your job. It's about when you don't show up, it's the burden that's placed on everybody else that actually does make it into the office. And it's not fair to them. So and in today's employment environment where sometimes people are hard to find, you got to take the good with the bad. And unfortunately, somebody is better than nobody. But the work does need to get done. And sometimes the employees are just clueless to it.
Yeah.
To where they don't realize, oh, well, yeah, I guess. If 3 people are calling out, oh, I didn't realize that. Well, that is the situation. And if you can't, if it's a pattern and it's documented and there is the ability to replace, I replace.
Yeah,
Totally.
I used to have to say, like, if I had someone on my team that was that was pretty bad about being late, it would late a lot for us. Cause especially like it would screw up, especially if you were a closer and you were late and you screwed up everyone's lunchtime. Those openers, they wanted to go to lunch, you know, like that kind of thing. We were on schedules, regimented schedules. The rest of the team started giving them a hard time too. So there was a lot of accountability, not just from the management team, but also their peers. If that closer came in late, that opener would be standing there like, I was supposed to go to lunch a half an hour ago. Where have you been? I'm like, thank you. I don't even have to address this.
Yeah.
That's great. So it's like, if you have this big of a problem on your team, like, how are the other people not also
They're probably not
addressing
super
it?
thrilled.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say manager, HR person, you got to address it with the manager, not the right way to handle it. Just hold people accountable like a normal human being, meaning tell them, hey, if you're late again,
Like,
you're gonna
it sucks for the team.
be
You're
right
going to
up.
get written up, or I'm just going to let
been
you
excessively
go.
late, we're going to let
Right.
you go.
Yeah, maybe these hours aren't good
but
for
we
you.
don't need to be calling people while they're sick. We don't need to be making them, people don't go to the doctor every time they have the flu. So
Right.
why we're asking for doctor's notes, we don't need to be doing that.
Yeah.
If we don't trust our people, we need to address what the bigger issue is.
I typically have about a 3-day. If it's 3 days,
Yeah.
I'm looking for a doctor's note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, I'm like, listen, I don't go to the doctor unless it's like really bad.
Yep.
I wouldn't have a doctor's note.
Hey, I'm going to pivot to one that's kind of similar. And I'm skipping down the list here because of something that you guys were talking about. So this is another HR manager, and we'll call this one clocking in from Cancun. So an employee forgot to submit a PTO request, but posted all over Instagram from Cancun during the work week. Look, if you're trying to get away with something, don't put it on like social media. Just have like a no socials policy for yourself. Their salary but had deliverables due, apparently ghosted Slack the whole time. Their manager seems to let it slide because they are one of the top performers. Should I intervene? This is the HR person. I received screenshots, and of course, everybody loves to rat everybody out. I received screenshots of Instagram of the rep on the beach last week, but like I said, no PTO was put in. Don't you guys remember like when we would all go into the office? Like I used to get, when I was at Corning, like under my office door, I'd walk in at 7 a.m. and there'd be like, whoever's DUI mugshot like under my door. And it was like, you should know. Do you know? How are you going to deal with this? And everybody, anytime somebody got a DUI, I was like, so anyway, this is kind of similar. Like everybody's like taking snapshots of Instagram and ratting everybody out. But and then when she looks into it, she's like, well, actually this person didn't put any PTO in. So like, this is a legitimate concern. Like, what should this person do? Should they intervene?
I mean, I guess my question would be like, is it just a processing? Like, was the manager aware that they were going on PTO and she just didn't submit the PTO? I mean, that happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to get your manager's approval for you to go on vacation. It's another thing for you to log into the HR information system and actually submit the 40 hours, right? Like, sometimes people forget to do that secondary part. It depends on, I don't know what their process is at their place of work, but if I was the HR person, guess what? I'd kick that right back over to the manager and say, here you go. Your employees want to know where your other employee is and you deal with it. Like my thing about all this stuff is like, why are these HR issues to begin with? These are people manager problems.
Right.
And the
Exactly right.
people managers need to deal with this. And if the manager knew they were on PTO and they just didn't submit it, then
put it in
all
the
of this
system.
is a non-issue.
Exactly.
And if not, then if the manager wants to look the other way, well, then they need to deal with the repercussions of their team when that's happening.
Yeah, that this person's gone.
Yeah, I
and no
mean,
one knew it.
if it's the other employees going to HR and the manager's like, oh yeah, oops, that's on me. I was aware of it. Yeah, they didn't submit the PTO request. We're talking about a top performer here, and maybe you have other employees trying to undermine that person for one
totally.
reason or another. Then I'm going to be like, yeah, manager, this is your issue.
Yeah. They want her deals.
Yeah, exactly.
She's doing too good.
Yeah, I'm not going to. This is something I'm not going to pay attention to at all, unless the manager says, "Oh no, I actually told them they couldn't go."
Yeah.
and
Right,
then you
right.
have an issue.
Yeah.
because even top performers, they'll try to get away with things because they'll know, hey, I'm a top performer.
Yeah.
I've been told I'm a top performer. My numbers prove I'm a top performer.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? Fire me? Probably not. And they'll try to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, it's hard for me to believe. I mean, I know it happens, right? We see all of these things actually happen. But 9 times out of 10, my thought would be like, is this a miscommunication type thing? Because the employee's clearly not hiding anything. They know their friends with their team members on social media and they're posting all over. They're not trying to pretend that they're not on vacation in Cancun. So that's why I guess from a reasonable standpoint, and I know we deal with a lot of unreasonable too in our line of work, but from a reasonable standpoint, in my mind, I'm like, is this a breakdown in communication where the employee failed to communicate with the team and the other people that are now on the hook for the deliverables and the Slack channel and didn't put the right out of office on? That still stuff needs to be addressed. Even if that person did end up having permission to go on the PTO, they clearly didn't set themselves up so that the team was successful while they were out, right? And I see that all the time with my teams, and it's a huge pet peeve. I'm like, if you're on PTO, you have to prepare for that, right? We're a team of 35 individuals and you're the only one in that job. So the business doesn't stop because I want you to go enjoy your time off, but we still have to run the organization while you're out. So you need to kind of transition a few things that need to be happening this week while you're gone. Put your dang out of office on. I don't know how many times I have to say that.
I agree with you.
Last week I was out for 2
really
days and I put my out of office on, and I have 4 different email addresses for my clients. And I went through all of them and put it on because I wasn't taking my laptop with me.
Yeah.
And their email isn't all on my phone. And so I'm like, listen, I just want people to know where I am because I don't feel like answering phone calls and text messages. So in order for me not to be interrupted, let me go ahead and put this on all of them. But it's not that hard.
No, it's not.
I'm horrible about putting out of office messages out.
Just because really hitting home for Greg.
Because
you're also horrible about responding.
Well, because I always look at
probably.
my email. It absolutely drives Aaron nuts.
You're also
can you just
bad
turn it
about
off? I'm like,
taking your time
I was
off
in
and being
Cancun
off.
about a month ago, and I'm looking at my
Greg,
email.
we invited you to this podcast to talk to you about something.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm reading between the lines of this one. I kind of get a sense that, okay, this guy is a top performer. Maybe there was a process issue with submitting the PTO, but if the other employees are complaining, maybe this guy isn't liked and they're just looking for some level of payback here.
Yeah.
So in this case, I'm just kicking it back to the manager saying, hey, is this really an issue or isn't it?
People be peopling.
Yeah.
They be trifling.
Yeah, there's clearly some, if anyone on your team is complaining about you, they don't like you that well.
Probably.
I mean, in general. Otherwise.
Probably because you're making them look bad.
I'm going to go say to the person on my team, like, dude, you can't just go to Cancun and leave us here alone. Yeah. But I'm not going to go to Greg in HR and be like, can you believe that Lisa went to Cancun? Blah, 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 blah. No, I clearly don't like Lisa. I clearly don't like Lisa that well.
This happens.
I know.
Every day.
I know.
Don't be that person.
But again, people don't throw you under the bus if they are a big fan of yours.
Try to be more likable, okay? Do good, but be likable. This is a good one. Okay. All right. You ready for something sexy? Okay. This is about a secret relationship that isn't a secret. Have you guys ever dealt with this? This is this happens.
Yeah, we know you're dating. Can you just disclose it so we can move forward, please, and deal with it? Make
everybody feel less icky. Okay, this is an employee down in Florida. Florida. Sorry to any Florida listeners that I just said that.
No offense.
All the fun stuff happens in Florida. 2 senior leaders are in a relationship, keep denying it, even though they arrive together, leave together, went on a quote unquote business trip together to Bora Bora. Their teams feel awkward. There's gossip everywhere, of course. People be peopling. And what should HR do when leadership won't acknowledge the obvious?
Well, I guess, again, we don't have all the context. So are they directors of different things within the org? Do they work that closely together? Is it impacting their work? I guess the relationships in the workplace thing is hilarious to me because we always have policies against this. But I worked in an org where I'm like, everyone always ended up marrying somebody. I mean, Nordstrom had really attractive women. So if you were a man working in retail for Nordstrom, you had a lot of choices, right? There was a lot of attractive women that worked there. So the men did very well for themselves when they worked at Nordstrom. And there were a lot of marriages. And it's like, well, are they working together? Are they not? I always go back to, you look statistically, read any book on dating, which I've read because I've had a terrible dating record, But statistically,
shout out to all of Amy's exes.
Yes. Statistically, a lot of people meet in the workplace, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay, these old policies of relationships in the workplace, we really have to
what should we do?
Acknowledge it. It happens. The greater is it affecting the work?
Yeah, but who do you have to tell? Also, it's none of your business. If I'm dating somebody, and it has, we're running you're running that department, I'm running this department, you should not care. Like, what am I even supposed to say? Like, I'm not going to tell you about my dating life. Like, I'm sorry you see me leaving in the car. Now, maybe if I was denying it and lying, like, that's weird, but.
Well, the first filter for me is always, is there an ability for one person to influence the other person's pay, whatever,
right.
or work, or are they in some sort of reporting relationship? If there's a reporting relationship, I think that's always going to be inappropriate to me. People will meet, employees will meet. So two senior leaders, they're employees too, and a lot of time, employees won't say, well, that happened at lower levels. Why can't it happen at a higher level? Because at a higher level, that's where they're going to be interacting more. But if there is a reporting relationship, that's a no-go.
Yeah,
I
that's
grew
gotta
up
get disclosed,
Yeah.
and then the simple solution is like, okay, nobody needs to be fired. Just do we have the ability to move someone within the organization, right? And sometimes that is yes, and sometimes no. I mean, I've seen it happen.
Oh my God.
All the time.
I had a CEO and he was like technically on paper still married. And then like one of the senior directors, I mean, they were like living together, coming in together, leaving together.
Okay, see, that's not probably appropriate.
No.
She would go to like the leadership team meetings.
Okay,
and
so
it's
maybe
like,
that one's a problem.
this is like bad behavior. And
CEO, senior lead. I had one time
it's like, she shouldn't work here.
One of my leaders, like I was on a team, and they don't work for Nordstrom anymore. But I kept saying, we got to this meeting, she was a newer person on the team, and I kept saying, what is up? So my spidey senses are strong to begin with, right? And I was in one meeting and I was like, we were like in Seattle for the week. I'm like, there's something going on. Her interaction with the rest of us seemed weird. Like she almost seemed like child to father. Like it was a very like permission. Like it was very uncomfortable for everyone. And all of my peers were like, you are crazy. And of course, because, I was like, is something going on? Like, what's happening here? And they knew her better than I did. And, I was like, do you think something's up too? And people acknowledged that like they just didn't like her that much to begin with, so they didn't care. But no, it turns out, no, he was sleeping with her the whole time. He was married. Like, I mean, it was all this stuff. And yeah, it ended up like, I don't remember if he lost his job or what happened, but I was more mad because I'm like, I loved working for this individual. And then I was embarrassed. I'm like, I can't tell anyone that you were my favorite boss over the years.
Right.
Like of what you.
Well, I think leaders need to
damage,
really
but yeah,
recognize
it's
how
terrible.
those type of relationships really erode people's confidence in you as a leader.
That's true.
Yeah. And, everybody's an individual. Everybody, everybody has, should have the ability to be happy, in both their personal as well as their professional life. But those type of relationships inside the work setting, where there's a reporting relationship or an ability to directly influence the pay, benefits, whatever of that individual, just aren't appropriate. And if they proceed with it anyways, I think that's a serious lack of judgment on their part. And people will see that and they'll lose confidence in them as a leader.
I guess in this situation, to me, if I were the HR director, I worked on the leadership team with both, I would probably go to both of them and be like, listen, the jig is up. Like, do you have something to tell us? Like, this isn't impacting your work, but people are asking, people want to know. You're leaders of people, so it does matter, right? Even though, yes, it's your personal life, it's not impacting your work. If it's impacting your ability to lead these people and these people to trust you, that you're being forthcoming with information, whether you think they deserve that kind of information or not, doesn't matter. It all crosses over. You chose to date someone in the workplace, so you need to probably tell us about it.
Yeah, but in the case of gossip, when people come to me with gossip and I'm like, okay, well, how is that piece of gossip impacting your day-to-day work activity?
But first, tell me everything.
And if it isn't, then I'm going to say, well, then shut up.
Yeah.
Gossip is just toxic in the work environment.
Well, and sometimes it's not right. I remember when I was an HR director, I had an HR manager, and this store that she was in was brutal. And I know because I'd had that job 7 years prior, same store. And it was a brutal location, and the employees and the managers could just be brutal and like accuse you of things that were so out of left field that never happened. And I remember they came to me and they were insistent. Like I kept getting these letters and anonymous and the ethics point hotline and all those things that this HR manager was whatever with someone dating, whatever you want to call it, with someone in that store. And she was then pregnant. She was going to have a baby. People kept insisting. And the gossip, it kept, she was not, I knew who she was dating. It was a relationship totally outside of work. She reported to me. I knew about her. It was no one's business, but they just kept going. And so sometimes it's not true. Just because you perceive it doesn't mean that's what's happening. This was just an individual that she knew because they had worked at previous stores together, but like there was no relationship happening.
Yeah. I'm always going to question the motivation when people are bringing that kind of stuff to me.
It's true. Like they have a crush on the guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just want to know everything. And if they think they have a right to know everything.
Well, they go fishing.
Yeah. It's crazy to me. But
it is.
No, I mean, for me, if I were the senior leader and you're dating another senior leader, I would probably disclose it for my own reputation.
Totally.
I don't understand not disclosing it.
Tell
if it's
the
not
boss, tell the
impacting
CEO,
your work,
and
it's not a reporting structure issue. Wouldn't you want to be the one to disclose it before everybody else was talking about it?
I think so.
I don't like being gossiped about.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
I don't. I'm like, say it to my face.
Oh man. Okay. Let's move to the next one, which is about an emotional support animal. Okay, this is funny anyway, because like I'm super allergic to cats. And like we have a very dog friendly like environment in a lot of the clients, right? And then like at Vanica where I am every day, I mean, there's a dog place, like dog headquarters, even a brand new building. And like it's fun to have the dogs around. But I'm like, if somebody brought a cat, I'd be like, oh.
What do you do if someone's really allergic to dogs?
No one said it yet, but I'm just like waiting for
You're
it.
waiting till
waiting till someone
you hire that
complains
highly
about-
allergic dog person.
Yeah. So, I mean, like we could substitute ferret for like a million different animals here, little baby goats, dogs that shed, cats. Like people don't like animals sometimes in the workplace. This is a facilities manager in a North Carolina plant. An employee brought in an emotional support ferret. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
And keeps it on a leash at her workstation. That's cool. She says it helps with her anxiety. People in the office are panicking, but she's threatening to call the code of conduct hotline if we make her take it home. What do we do?
So
there's a whole,
Yeah, Greg, do you know the laws on emotional support animals?
I actually did a little bit of research on this.
Okay.
And and when I went, I just kind of searched on emotional support animals, and ferret is one of them.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
That's what I was like. You want to take
Surprise
this
me.
one?
Not what I would
We're gonna
consider
disappoint people with our
a
answer
super
here.
cuddly animal, and I love dogs, I love cats, all that. But I don't know that there's any way to specifically certify that an animal is an emotional support animal. I think it's debatable, and the law right now around accommodations and all that is okay. Well, my first filter is, okay, is this an actual condition for this employee where they truly do have anxiety in the workplace?
Did they let us know about it?
And so let's get some documentation around that versus you just saying, oh, I've got anxiety, I need an emotional support animal. I'd like to see, have you visited a doctor about this? Is this something where something is being either prescribed or suggested, et cetera? And then to say, well, you must accommodate me for my emotional support animal. Well, the accommodations can be an undue hardship on the workplace side.
Yeah.
Say you do have employees that are either being triggered by the ferrets or by the cat dander or by
if you
whatever.
have employees that are allergic to that emotional support, that's when you can create some like undue hardship.
So if you got undue hardship, then and she's going to call the code of conduct hotline. Well, then sounds like you got a
internal to your
rules-based
org.
culture
Yeah.
here. And if that's her first, inkling is, I'm going to go ahead and report you. Well, again, I'm thinking about that person. That says a lot about that person, where they're going to immediately report you to this other body, the emotional conduct or whatever. So in terms of the ferret, yeah, I mean it's
a weird move.
It is kind of a weird move. People that have ferrets love ferrets.
People have their preferences of animals.
I love that you looked this up and ferret was on the list.
Ferret was on the list.
So the hard thing with animals in the workplace, emotional support animals, like service, really it's service animals, right? And that's what I'm talking about specifically, or more the certified like service animals. Emotional support, it's like,
well, emotional support or
but
not,
you
like
really are not allowed to ask that many questions. So as the HR person, like look up, and unless that, if they're saying that's a service animal and that animal's not creating any kind of disturbance, here. But that's what I'm saying. But I'm going to the service animal, like there's less we can do than we can actually do.
Yeah,
so
with service animals.
You have to really think about it.
I think there's a pretty clear line between a service animal and an emotional support animal.
What do you
Service
have
animal,
on a
but
plane?
there's really no actual like federal certification, like there really isn't.
Agreed.
So that's where it's hard, because it's like people are. I had an employer once that was like, "Well, ask for the paperwork." I'm like, of what? Like there's no like just one organization that provides you like, okay, after this animal goes through this amount of training, like there can be service animals that we don't have paperwork.
Let's take like a realistic view. Like most of the companies like y'all are working with are like mid-sized or smaller, and people bring their dogs in because it's like a family-run business or a close-knit business. They bring their dogs in, and somebody wants to bring a ferret in, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't like ferrets. Don't bring your ferret in. Like, is that
there's
cool?
no consistency
that's
there.
Like that kind of stinks for
But
that
the thing
person.
is, like, there's probably plenty of people that don't like your dog either.
Exactly. So I guess just
Now,
maybe
I don't like those
I
people,
don't know.
but hey,
Is
they're
it
out there.
If it starts to become a problem, then just like nobody brings anything.
I think it's more
and
like
that's
you
group
have
punishment.
to ask.
And I hate group punishment.
Yeah, I think
know.
it's more you have to ask like, well, is that ferret doing something that's making you uncomfortable? Like if she's got it on a leash at her workstation, I mean,
That's
this is
micro
bad.
Yeah.
But
Is that ferret doing something that's
I mean,
making
if
you
the ferret isn't
uncomfortable?
causing any kind of disturbance and it's just sitting at that little workstation, then
Yeah.
fine.
There you
So it's like,
Ferret
okay,
diapers.
guys, the whole point of this stuff is like, just because something makes you uncomfortable doesn't mean that it's not allowed. So it's like, work through your discomfort, learn to be more tolerable. Like these are all good life lessons. The minute that ferret starts running around the office, biting your ankles, we'll do something about it.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's my answer.
Ferret bit. Ferret
Ferrets
bites.
are allowed.
That's a lot of paperwork.
If the ferret is triggering all the dogs,
I don't-
then we got a real issue.
I don't want any clients coming to me next week asking me if they can bring their ferrets to work after they hear this podcast episode, okay?
Oh,
And no other strange
shout out
animals.
to ferrets. Okay.
I can't do like really odd things.
Oh,
I'll be like, I have to work from home.
Where are we at? How much time are we at? Are we at 30 minutes? I want to make sure like we save some of these write-ins for the next episode. Look, we love that you guys are writing in, and if you love ferrets, we love you. More dog people at the table here.
More dog people.
But,
personally,
thanks for tuning in. It was really exciting opening up the inbox. We love having Greg Mosier here. His debut on HR Nightmares. And of course, Amy Conway, thank you for being here, both of you, and using your expertise to help our audience deal with some of these issues. Next episode, we're going to dig back into this inbox. We've been tackling some relevant, kind of timely topics recently on the most recent episodes, and so it's been fun to kind of get back to some of these anonymous write-ins. Don't forget, hit up leathhrgroup.com. There's a button at the top for HR Nightmares. Tell all your friends. If you enjoyed this episode, check us out on all the socials, and we're so glad to have had you tuning in. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.